If you look around at the world, the world consists of a glorious range of different kind of ethnicities. It consists of men, women, trans people, all kinds of people. And so when an art form like film goes decade after decade after decade of only focusing on one kind of person, that is white men getting all the good parts, it's really a skewed vision of the world.
Years ago, he was always bad. And in the end, he intended to tell them I killed those girls and that man. As if I could do anything except just sit and stare.
In the middle of that beautiful love scene? That wouldn't have been very tactful, would it? But don't worry. Your secret is safe with me.
No, you have to go. Now.
No, Jack.
Get in the boat, Rose.
No, Jack.
Yes. Get on the boat.
Yes, get on the boat.
It's important to have people that represent themselves in popular culture and television and movies and things of this nature because, of course, they need to be able to tell their own stories. I think what you're looking at right now in terms of film these days is somewhat of a renaissance in the dramatization of African American stories. For example, you can look at recent films that have achieved awards and been successful at the box office. People like Ava DuVernay with Selma, people like Barry Jenkins with Moonlight, people like Ryan Coogler with Black Panther, which is an enormous step forward for African Americans telling their story in film and television.
I know currently the times are getting interesting and exciting, particularly in the superhero genre, which was dominated by male characters, white characters for so long. And last year we had Wonder Woman, which is pretty good, I think. And I was happy to see that that film proved that an action film starring a female lead can make over $100 million. It absolutely did that. And then this year we have Black Panther do the same thing. Black Panther is about a black character, superhero genre, made tons of money, all kinds of popularity.
What's good, y'all boys?
What is good, bro? We about to react to this
New Black Panther trailer.
I mean, you know, I ain't really a big fan, but we just gonna get into it, you know what I mean?
I am though. No, right? What are you talking about? No, you got the suit too? With the gold? Let's go! Let's go!
What happens?
What?
To the rest of the world.
Black Panther, of course, is probably the best representation of, you know, the black community as in a whole. They kind of destroy sexist stereotypes and age stereotypes as well as black people stereotypes. And it's really great because that's kind of what they were going for, is kind of just, you know, get the community talking about what is representation of the community, what's going on there.
Look at this. Okay, but are y'all seeing the outfits? Are y'all seing the inspiration? I don't know what it is. I feel like it's because like I'm African, and it's like it just brings me so much joy to see any African culture just like on the big screen and people so hyped for it. You know what I mean? Like I feel like Marvel is definitely doing this character justice.
That was not just a movie. That was a message. That was a movement. That was a moment in time.
Find a bad part in that movie.
Yo, I wish you would. I wish you would.
Movies focus on people, and filmmakers who want films to be popular stress in their scripts that the characters have relatability. So relatable characters who we recognize traits and things that they do, situations that they find themselves in. If we can relate in some way, then we care more about the movie, a lot more about the movie.
Yes, Gus Kenworthy putting down the switch triple rodeo.
I've known that I was gay since I was like 5 years old. For the longest time, I didn't think I was going to tell anybody.
And I wanted to kind of come out and hopefully be a beacon of light for any kids that were the same as me when I was a kid, because I didn't feel like I had anyone to look up to.
It's been almost 3 years since I came out on the cover of ESPN the magazine, and 3 weeks since this happened at the Winter Olympics. Today, Hollywood is taking it a step further with a coming out movie.
Abby,
Yeah?
I'm gay.
Oh.
Already, fans have taken to social media in support of the film. One fan coming out in this tweet. Nick Robinson plays 17-year-old Simon in the film directed by Greg Berlanti.
After I came out, I started having kids reaching out to me and telling me that my coming out story helped them come out to their own parents. Have you felt that?
To a certain degree, yes. This film, I think, showed in Kansas, like months ago, and there was a young man in the audience who had the courage to come out to his dad.
Maybe it provides a point of entry just to talk about the issue, even if you're not LGBT. I think most people have a friend or a family member or know someone who is, and might want to walk in Simon's shoes.
Oh my God!
I'm very excited about this one. This one is very up my alley, and I'm really excited that there is like LGBT representation coming into like blockbusters, which is insane. Not just kind of like indie films and kind of like, you know, those independent type films. So it's really cool to kind of have this as a blockbuster, especially at this time right now. I feel like it's perfect time to have it.
Well, let's see, I love Do the Right Thing. That's a rare example of a 1980s story that is directed by an African-American director and tells a story from more or less of an indigenous black point of view. I love that film. Largely because it doesn't offer us any solutions, any easy solutions to the issues of racial tension in this country. It's a wonderfully told story, and of course it was nominated for an Academy Award in 1989, and it lost out to an incredibly stereotypical story called Driving Miss Daisy. So that's one of my favorite films. I love Moonlight, which came out a couple of years ago and won an Academy Award. I think to have a story told from the vantage point of a black gay character from an urban neighborhood is an incredibly underrepresented story, and one that was dying to be told and was told so beautifully. And I think stories like that are absolutely important to the whole diversity of narratives that we tell in this culture. So those are two of my favorite movies, definitely.
There are moments in the 60s when I thought, there's some good representation, good role models. And I remember Sidney Poitier, the actor, had a great year in 1967. He is black, and he had won an Oscar already by that time for Best Actor, so he was historical and a pioneer and a groundbreaker for that reason. But in 1967, he starred in the police drama In the Heat of the Night. He starred in this teacher film that I always liked called To Sir with Love. And he starred in a film called Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, which dealt directly with black-white relations in a romance. Those three films were three of the best films of that period, of that year, 67, and it made me think that we're going to see more faces of people of color in more movies made in Hollywood.
The problem is when the capsule moves from an elliptical orbit to a parabolic orbit. There's no mathematical formula for that.
I think more progress needs to be made. I think this is a step in the right direction, but I think you need to have more directors behind the camera telling their own stories, their people's stories. And I think Hollywood still has a ways to go with that. You know, the studio heads are still all white. There's very few women working in executive positions in Hollywood, and that needs to change.
I think it's really incorrect and oversimplified to say that if, for instance, you're a white person, you'll only ever look on the screen and see white role models. I think there's no reason you can't see role models of all colors, of all genders, and relate to people for lots of reasons, not just because they kind of look and sound like you.